schedule your annual mammogram screenings. Please don't put it off. Please don't. And you don't have to feel alone if you are diagnosed.
Hello, Auntie Dorothy. How are you?
Hi, Barb. I'm doing great. How about you?
I am well. Thank you for asking.
Great.
It's so wonderful to see you.
Same here.
Thank you for honoring our invitation to have this conversation.
My pleasure.
All right. So, Dr. Dorothy Mensah Agri of HOPSA 1978 and I began this friendship about 2 years ago when I reached out to her about participating in our breast cancer awareness segment, which she delightfully agreed to do. However, little did I know that she was going through her own breast cancer journey. I soon found out, and fast forward 2 years, she's sitting here looking so beautiful, and she has agreed to share her story or part of her story. And so, Dr. Dorothy Mensah Agri, can you please take me back to 2 years ago when I reached out to you and what exactly was going on?
Thank you, Barb. And I prefer the Auntie Dorothy.
Auntie Dorothy, yes.
So anyway, you're absolutely right. When I received your message to create a video for HOPSA's, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I thought to myself, "Oh, um, going through this myself, how do I do this?" Initially, I didn't want to, honestly, but then I thought it would help others. And so I did. And my journey is quite intriguing because I ended up not doing my surgery here. What had happened was I used to typically do my yearly mammogram. That is one thing that is it's imperative for me to do. And so I had gone for my regular checkup, and I got a call for that day. My son had just gotten a job in Baltimore. So we had driven down that day. And I recall we were in a hotel someplace, and I saw the call from my doctor. As soon as she said, can we talk? I figured out that that was what it was. And so I told her, I think I have breast cancer, but I'm going to pray that the journey is not as rough. And she said, you don't know for sure. They've seen something, yes, and would like you to go back for some more tests. At that time, also, I just lost a dear uncle in England, and I had already made plans to go to England for the funeral. But they worked with me, we were able to schedule an appointment like 3 days after I returned. And sure enough, when you go for the mammogram and this doctor comes in, checks and says, let's do another one. Another doctor comes in and somebody comes to talk to you, you're like, okay, just tell me and let me be free. But anyway, so I had breast cancer. I was fortunate. It had not progressed extensively, but it had to be taken out. They are different levels, and mine, even though it was a stage one, was a grade 3, which meant it was doubling pretty fast. And
Quick
so the
question.
surgeon, yes,
Stage one, what kind of breast cancer was it?
it was, oh gosh, I like to block certain things out.
Got
So
it.
I think it was a ductal carcinoma. I'll have to double check.
Got it.
But it was a grade 3, which meant it was progressing pretty fast. And so they knew they had to get it out as soon as possible. And the surgeon here gave me the option of a mastectomy or a lumpectomy. I preferred a lumpectomy because I knew I had some surgeries in the back in the past. What I had had was a desmoid tumor. And so part of my liver had been cut in a period of 2 years, I had undergone 7 major surgeries affecting my breast, and I have all kinds of scars on my torso, but no gory stuff here. And so I prefer to do the lumpectomy, but she was insisting on the mastectomy and sent me to see a specialist. Well, the specialist came in with 3 other doctors who were understudying him, and I was with a friend. What my friend and I both noticed that the specialist kept saying, this was a plastic surgeon specialist,
Mm.
because of the scars on your breasts, this is complicated. It will be complicated. It will be complicated. I mean, I heard it at least 4 times. So when that visit was over and we stepped out of the office, my friend said, Dorothy, I don't know about you, but if the specialist kept saying it's complicated, I would think twice. And I said, Margaret, I'm not even going to think twice. I'm not going there. I'm not doing a mastectomy. So, anyways, during that period also, I was planning to go to Rome for a conference. And so I told some friends I have there, and one of them is very good friends with Professor Ricardo Massetti, who heads the Gemelli Breast Surgery Unit and is a professor also at one of the universities in Rome. So he said he would ask his friend if it would be possible to see me and just offer a second opinion, which I knew I needed. Fortunately, the stars were aligned in my favor because Professor Massetti is a really busy professor. He's going around the world giving talks and all that. But somehow that weekend that I was in Rome for the conference, he was available. And so he made time to see me in between surgeries. And he was very gentle. He examined me in his office, and he said they could do a lumpectomy with a few sessions of radiation, you know, seeing what he had seen, and that'll be okay. And so now I had to make the decision. Do I do I do the surgery in the US, or do I go back to Rome for that? And long story short, I didn't like the pressure that was coming from the US surgeon's office to do the mastectomy because I remember one dinner time in Rome, because of the time difference, they called and I had already sent word that I prefer the lumpectomy. And the nurse was saying, no, the doctor thinks the mastectomy it's best and was going on. And I remember breaking down at dinner. And I think that um, that was what precipitated my friend. He's one of the top clergy in Rome. Like, let me talk to this doctor so we get this done. So I eventually went back to Rome, Agostino Gemelli Hospital. It's a well-known hospital. That is where most of the Catholic clergy are treated. And I was given such a wonderful treatment. I'm still friends with the doctors, even the oncologist there who ended up not seeing to me. We are still friends. And so I did the surgery, and then, and I'm glad I did it over there because the surgeon here never spoke to me about a test called Oncotype DX test. And that test determines the possibility of recurrence for the type of cancer you had. And when my numbers came, they were extremely high. So I remember going back to see Professor Massetti a couple of weeks after the surgery. My sister had flown in from England and was with me. And my daughter also came over from Dallas. So I had family there. And he said, I'm sorry, my dear, but your numbers are too high for this Oncotype DX test. So you'll have to do chemo. And my jaw dropped. I looked at him. I said, chemo? He said, yes, you have to do chemo. And I'm telling you, for 3 days, it was total darkness for me. I It was like I was in a tunnel and I couldn't see any light anywhere. To the point that I didn't want to go to mass. One morning, because where I was staying with priests and a nun. So the priest knocked on my door and said, "What is going on?" Because typically I'll be in the chapel before they got there. And I just said, "I'm not feeling good." Um, but he came in after mass and we talked. I think he could figure out what was going on. So we talked for a while, and eventually I agreed to undergo the chemo and the radiation. They offered to do it in Rome, but it was going to be over a 6-month period, and I couldn't see how I could stay there. When they told me of the side effects and all, I'm like, no, I can't put this burden on you all here. So I'm going back. And so I came back to the US. It was difficult finding an oncologist because I didn't do my surgery here. But my internist was able to help me find a great oncologist, lovely young lady. We are buddies now. We talk like sisters. And so anyway, I came in and I began the chemo treatment. It was rough. I mean, chemo is rough. It just wipes you out. And initially, I was supposed to undergo 16 rounds of chemo. By the 10th round, my body was giving up. It was getting more and more dangerous. So we agreed, it was spaced out again. And then I went for 2 more. And at that point, both the oncologist and I knew that my body couldn't handle the 16. So we ended at 13. And even that, I had no energy. I mean, when people say I feel like a truck just ran over me, the truck didn't run over me. The truck was sitting on me, moving back and forth. That is how much pain your body goes through. There's so much, you're nauseous all the time. I mean, it's horrible. However, it was important that I did that. And so I remember when I sensed that I had that. I had breast cancer. My prayer was, okay, God, give me the courage and the faith to go through this. Whatever happens, I want to give the glory to you. Because I'm a fighter. I've gone through quite a bit in life, but I always choose to smile and stay positive because there's no point writing over your forehead. I have a headache. I have a stomach ache. This is going. So what? Who cares? Everybody has some issue to deal with. But you never know, maybe your smile will make another person's day. And if you can make another person's day, praise be to God. But I was also fortunate that I had friends and my siblings who rallied around me and created a chart and made sure that there was someone with me for all the treatments. In fact, even the doctors and the nurses kept saying they've never come across anybody. I always went with somebody new. So who is here today with you? And we'll start a conversation. No, so it was a long, arduous, painful journey, but I'm grateful to God I'm here. It's not over. It's a long process. I'm done with the chemo and the radiation, but the maintenance drugs are doing a number on my body, and I've already changed that 3 times. And we are not sure what's going to work because if your body is not taking it, you have to change it. I've hit the road where these are the 3 that will work for me, and they're not working for me. So what next? But it's in the hands of God. I'll do whatever I can, eat well. You have to change your diet, you have to exercise, you have to keep basically a positive attitude because cancer would get to you mentally, physically, emotionally. So you have to have some kind of support um, you know, that would wrap around you and hold you and help you move forward. So I'm grateful. And you've been there, you've walked with me throughout this journey. So I am grateful to you, my dear Barb, for walking the journey with me.
I am grateful for inviting me in. And, I think back in the day or many years ago, breast cancer seemed like a death sentence to many people. And so to know that medicine has advanced in a way that today we can normalize talking about breast cancer without thinking or believing that's the end. It's wonderful. And to even have women like you share your journey or your story is heartwarming. So thank you. Because statistics say that every 29 seconds, somewhere in this world, a woman will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And that means that we are not really talking enough about this cancer that's ravaging our bodies or Um, and so I try to normalize it by asking my friends or family members if they've had their mammograms every year.
Yes.
I know we don't want to do it. It's painful sometimes. I just got mine done about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, you go through it and you leave wondering what if you're going to get the letter or you're going to get a phone call.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you were doing your annual mammograms and it was just one of those mammograms that you went to and got that phone call, what would you say to, I don't want to say encourage but what would you say to women out here listening to us about, going for a mammogram, whether or not we're going to get a phone call or a letter? It's still
Yeah.
very important that we do. And if we do, and it's interesting now because it just took me back to the recording you did 2 years ago, where you said, and if you get that diagnosis, it's okay. It's really okay. But how do you get to the point where you feel like it's okay and you're going to go through this journey?
Well, I would say that it is imperative, particularly in our part of the world where you can have access to these tests. It is imperative that every woman, in fact, when I spoke with Professor Massetti, I interviewed him, and he said from their 20s, because people younger than my age are being diagnosed with breast cancer. And sometimes before they know it, it's too late. So here's the deal. Would you rather wait till it's a stage 4 or it's metastasized, or would you rather go early and it's caught early and treated? These are questions we have to ask ourselves. But I think to say that, oh, I don't want to know, I'm afraid, it's untenable. That's just, it shouldn't even be an option on your plate. I know, and initially when I started my treatment, there were friends and friends of friends around me who had also been diagnosed who were not fortunate. At a point, I didn't want to hear any more news because everyone I knew who had been diagnosed with some form of cancer, breast, colon, they were not making it. And so at a point, I was like, okay, Lord, why me? Why am I making it? But you don't want to go there. I think it's important that we do that yearly mammogram because it would save lives. And it's really not only about you. I have 2 children. I have 8 sisters. I have a wonderful set of colleagues at work. I have friends all over. I could think that it's me, it's my life, but then my life touches others. And I'd rather bring joy to people than sadness to people. So by taking care of myself and taking the steps I ought to take, somehow I am in the process of bringing joy to others. And I also realize that you must self-advocate. Nobody's going to do certain things for you.
Yeah.
My oncologist gets a kick out of our conversations. By the time I go, I have read and I know some of the side effects of the medications. And I'm like, no, but I'm supposed to take this medication, but it could also give me uterine cancer. So why am I taking one medication that is going to help to deal with the breast cancer, but the possibility of giving me uterine cancer? So from frying pan to the wildest fire you can think of, I'm like, no, let's look for another, option. And she look at me and say, May Dorothy, maybe you're reading too much. I said, no, I need to know what I'm putting in my body. And so part of this is, watching what you eat, your diet, um, taking breaks, because, women tend to take care of everybody else by themselves. And I'm guilty of that. And I'm a workaholic. I mean, I want, if a work is going to bear my name, I want it to be perfect. And so I would work on end. I would eat lunch at my desk, which is a no-no. So now I take my breaks. If I don't feel too good, I'll work from home, you know. So there are many things we can do to mitigate what is going on around us.
Well, thank you for bringing us along and catching us up to what has gone on in your life in the last 2 years. We are happy to see that you're thriving. We want to thank your village for taking care of you. And when we talk about village, though, I think sometimes we hear of people who are sick or going through something, and we want to be there, but we don't know what to do or what to say. And I know that sometimes they are triggering words or inappropriate things that people might say. Um, can you tell us a few things of what is helpful to say or what is helpful to do in times when we have to be there to support a sister or a friend?
Yeah. And I would say that Hafsa was really great. Doreen called. I didn't even realize that she was my younger sister's baby at Holy Child.
Uh-huh.
She called, you called, a few people called, and you all sent me. No, so people will call and ask, how can I help? We are all different. Honestly, at the time that I was going through the process, I was just out of it. And so very close friends knew. A lot of my own mates, as we are speaking now, have no idea what I've been through.
Mm,
I choose my friends and I choose who to share what with. We all do that. And so I wanted positive energy around me because, like you said, in the past, when you heard of somebody having any form of cancer, it was like a death sentence. And I didn't need that around me. And so I had friends that I knew would be lifting me in prayer. But what Hafsa did, they called a couple times and that's fine. I was like, okay, maybe I need, because it was also just towards the end of COVID. So I needed cleaning stuff and they sent me lots of cleaning stuff, which I still have some here. I probably wouldn't have to buy cleaning stuff for another year. So thank you, Hafsa. And then some would call, on a regular basis and just check on me. But I also have this term I call the ministry of presence, and where somebody will just be with you. You don't have to speak. Sometimes even just call and say, I heard this piece of music and I know you love music, so I thought you might want to listen to this, or just send it. Or I just called. If you want to talk, fine. If you don't want to talk. And some will say, call me anytime, day or night, which sometimes I did, you know, but when you reach out and the person um, wants to chat, I'm sure they can tell they would. I would say though that there were many times I didn't even have the energy
mm,
to even get up. There were many times I had to be held out of bed to go to the dining room to eat. I don't like eating in my bedroom. All my friends and my kids know that. So I insisted that you can't, we'll bring the tray here. I'm like, no, I need to get out of bed. So there were times I literally had to be carried out, and I still insisted I would do something. You know, friends would come in and just spend the day with me, and so we'll sit. I had a brother, Brother John, God bless him. When he heard the news, he came over. That was a very day and I was alone at home. He sat next to me and the two of us just cried together.
mm.
No words. I was crying, he was crying. Sometimes I tease him. But it's that presence, knowing that there's somebody there for you.
Yeah.
So yes, make the call. And if the person does not feel like talking, okay, try again. But when you tell them, I'm here for you, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And yeah, some people might need money, but some people might need like the cleaning stuff you sent. If you know somebody's favorite, something they like, some sent me blankets, all kinds of things. But you know that there's a group of angels around you who are lifting you. in that time. And that's wonderful.
And that's wonderful to share. I know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but we never have to wait for October to come before we have these conversations. And so hopefully we will all normalize having breast health conversations and encouraging each other to get our mammograms done and in between getting our monthly self checks so that we can save lives. So thank you again, Auntie Dorothy, for sitting down to have this conversation with me today. And we hope to be talking again soon.
You're welcome, Barb. Yes, I hope we'll talk again soon because I'm not giving up.
No, you're not. And we are not giving up on you either. Thank you.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye. God bless.
Bye-bye.